declassified videos, authentic Department of Defense footage.
Oh my God. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
UAPs are unexplained, but they are real. Transparency is desperately needed.
Are we alone? Is planet Earth the only place in the universe with life, much less intelligent life? We have seen a rapid increase in sightings of craft that can't be explained, flying with impunity in our restricted airspace, sometimes around military installations. These craft are doing things that defy our understanding of physics. Some in the military dismiss that these are extraterrestrial. Others are quite open that they will not dismiss that possibility. Jeremy Corbell is an expert in this area. He's obtained several videos from the military that show things that we simply can't explain. Jeremy, what's the story out there right now with where we are on this issue?
Let me break it down. We have uncovered ongoing UFO, what they call now UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. We've uncovered new programs that have been sustaining. So since 1969, when the US government said we don't study UFOs anymore, that was a lie. Congress has spoken up for UFO transparency. We actually had hearings for the first time in 50 years that were designed to reduce stigma and to look at this issue straight on for the first time in more than 50 years.
Now, you're the guy that these military pilots, you and George Knapp, a fine journalist, you've kind of become the clearinghouse for this stuff, right? Because they're afraid to give it to their superiors because they might get laughed at, they might end up demoted, who knows? But there's a fear out there about sharing this stuff, so they use you guys to get it out to the public. This is Defense Department stuff, right?
Yeah, correct. So George Knapp and I, we obtained and released a bunch of military-filmed, Pentagon-confirmed UFO videos that, by the way, were corroborative censored data. It was different platforms that were filming these. And so this was a historic moment. We got deck footage, we got thermal footage, we got infrared footage. We also got documents, and we produced all of this to the public. It's like a dream case. This was one event in many UFO events, but it was historic, and it remains historic. Now, people have been arguing a lot about the shapes of these craft that we see, but the bottom line is none of that matters. What matters is we don't know who's operating them, and they seem to outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform our greatest weapon systems. They can cloak, they can go in and out of water with absolute impunity. We don't have defense for this. So my question is, who is operating these vehicles? Where are they from? How were they made? And why don't we know?
Have we ever recovered any material from these craft?
So we have, John, and this is a big pill to swallow if you're just hearing about it for the first time. But you have to understand, we're in a different world now. We're in a different climate. We've had UFO hearings that were, created to reduce stigma, so reporting would get better. So people like me as journalists and filmmakers, that I could become obsolete. I don't need to play the middleman between the Department of Defense and these people that feel disenfranchised, that they can't come forward with what they've seen or what they've saw. Now, we're getting better at that. There's legislation in place, and this is something that has occurred recently that is so interesting. We had a public UFO report. Not only that, but we had the congressional hearings. So now we're set up to receive a second UFO report that will be official, and hopefully they look at it without stigma and encourage people to come forward, such as the pilots, the sailors, the people from the Navy that have come forward to me.
These craft were doing things that the military guys had never seen before and could not explain. Describe it.
Yeah, so this is really important. So when I obtained all of this information, such as this video you're seeing now, there's no plumes, there's no rotors, there's no control surfaces. This is one craft out off the coast of California that was captured that appears, or the Navy felt like and believes that it went transmedium. That means it can penetrate from space, air to sea without any inertial effect. So this is believed to have gone into the water. They actually sent a submarine that was within documents that I was exposed to look for wreckage or look for the craft. So this video, why it's so important, is because it is showing what the Navy believes to be a trans-medium vehicle with no flight origin, no departure place, no landing spot. So you can see that slide right there, comes right out of a document the world would have never seen if I didn't obtain it and was able to release it. So this is what they call a trans-medium vehicle. This is one of the problems. Who has these? This is a leapfrog in technology from what we know that we have in the United States right now.
Obviously, the immediate worry is that if it's foreign government doing stuff that is way beyond our capability, let's say for the sake of argument it were China, we would be in a very, very bad way, right?
Yeah, and indeed this has been ruled out to a high degree. So from all the information that has been public and all of the responses, even from the head of our Navy, we don't know whose vehicles these are. They have excluded that it's our black projects because there is a way that is reported when it's our black projects. We don't test them right off the coast of California where we put on high alert a bunch of our Navy. And then the question is, are these Chinese drones? And this is something that has been put forward, and it is just absolute hogwash.
Well,
now, I don't know whose vehicles these were, but if they were Chinese drones or another nation that we know of, then we have a much, much bigger problem. We have an intelligence failure that's far beyond that of 9/11. This is something that's occurring on a regular basis. And so we have vehicles of unknown origin that are able to do things that we can't do ourselves as the United States of America, and we don't know whose they are.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Jeremy, and you know this, the governments around the world, the big powers, are sharing information because they're concerned. They don't know what this is. They're even sharing information, right?
Absolutely. We're sharing information to a high degree. But remember, even China has its own UFO programs. They've admitted this, that they use artificial intelligence to help look for patterns. This is something that every major world power is looking at seriously now. It's given science the opportunity to open their eyes and begin to look at the types of things we're seeing. To give you an example, some of these objects can drop from 80,000 feet down to 5 feet above sea level instantaneously within less than a second. And they're traveling faster than the speed of sound, yet there's no sonic boom. So that's what they call signals.
Wow.
That's what they call signals intelligence.
Yeah.
There's just no typical signature for these vehicles. They don't know how they're operating. What you're showing on the screen right now is an image from an F-18 pilot that George Knapp released. Pilots are encountering these UFOs or unidentifieds on a regular basis, literally every day.
Tell me what makes this particular object of interest.
Why it's so interesting is it's one of the objects up the East Coast. They called it metallic blimp with payload. This thing was not moving with the wind, and it is indicative of what's being seen every day. This and what pilots are saying are cubes with spherical auras. I mean, if you couldn't find something less aerodynamic than a cube, I don't know what.
Yeah.
So here's the bottom line. Pilots are encountering UFOs on a daily basis. This is something that is now just being able to be reported up the chain of command. This is a flight safety issue, if nothing else, if not an intelligence issue.
Let's talk about a West Coast encounter, the Tic Tac video.
So why the Tic Tac UFO event from 2004 is so important is because these were tracked on multi-platforms, multi-sensor systems. You had a number of fighter pilots that actually got eyes on. You've got an object that not only has no flight controls, no wings, no tails, no rotors, but also it was able to instantaneously shoot away faster than the eye could see, something that we just can't do right now. And Commander David Fravor not only tried to chase the UFO, but he tried to actively pursue it.
He's the guy I think was interviewed on 60 Minutes.
That's right. Commander David Fravor was.
Yeah.
Now, the man that filmed the Tic Tac UFO was Commander Chad Underwood. So you've got footage of what Commander Fravor says. This is no longer just people talking about what they see, but we have footage.
In the government, is there an openness to the idea that these could be extraterrestrial? Because during the hearings on May 17th, some of the guys said, you know, we don't believe it's extraterrestrial, but other people would not eliminate that option.
Yeah, I think that it would be unwise to eliminate any option at this point. There's a real possibility that whatever we're seeing that can fly this way is a technology that's far more advanced than what we have. Now, look, I'm not talking about drones from a foreign nation. I'm not talking about weather balloons. I'm not talking about temperature inversions, and I'm also not talking about optical illusions or birds. I'm talking about all the things that we know travel beyond hypersonic speed, that appear to be transmedium, that just perform in ways that we can't. There are a number of people that believe there is a third party involved with these craft, meaning it's not us, it's not Russia or China, that it would be some sort of non-human intelligence or an intelligence that we just haven't discovered yet. So this is absolutely on the table. And it's not just me saying it. This is your government saying it.
Yeah, they're trying to figure this out. NASA's now put together a team of 16 scientists and experts to delve into the mysteries surrounding unidentified aerial phenomena. One of the people on that is Mark Kelly, who's our U.S. Senator. His brother, twin brother, Scott Kelly, they were both astronauts, former fighter pilot. He's part of that too. You've got credible people now trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, and in fact, it's really great that scientists are being given permission to look at something that's part of nature. It's right in front of our face. Reduce the stigma, get better reporting. This is now being put in position where we can do that. And NASA, it's great. It's studying it. But I will tell you, I have direct knowledge that we already have great footage. We have great imagery. We have a lot of data. It's a data-rich environment about UFOs, but that data has not been shared. And it's not been shared because of fears for national security. But luckily, we're in a historic moment, which is where UFO whistleblower legislation has been absolutely defined, and it should be passing no problem in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023. And it's very dramatic language. Why, John, this is so important? I call it the silver bullet. It's very dramatic language. It talks about UFO legacy programs, which is exploitation, reverse engineering, crash retrieval. The idea that we have had programs that have studied this, which is true. We have. Every branch of our military has UFO programs. But to bring that forward through a UFO whistleblower act, that is astounding. Can you imagine the people that have been working in these programs that have had to remain silent about non-human or potentially non-human technology that they've been trying to reverse engineer? I would like to hear that story. I think the American public deserves to hear it.
I think everybody would. And transparency is the greatest thing. I guess the government probably fears reaction from the public, but we now know that governments are starting to talk to each other about developing protocols if and when there is contact. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I think that's great. We've always had kind of secretive plans for that. I mean, why not plan for everything? But check this out. I have direct knowledge that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has been informed of these legacy UFO programs that are claimed to be programs of reverse engineering of craft not made here on Earth.
Jeremy Corbell, thank you, my friend.